Hi guys, welcome back to what is it? Pastries of Perspective.
Yeah, Pastries of Perspective.
We don't have pastries today, but we are here with another podcast.
We
I'm
will
Samara.
soon, though. I promise. Eventually.
I'm Samara. I'm the editor-in-chief here at Yearbook. I have Mary, who's also another editor.
Hey guys.
And our special guest today is Mr. Hallett, who is the vice principal of athletics here at our school. Which, how did you get that position, actually? Like, have you always wanted to be in charge of athletics?
That's a long story.
Oh, okay.
Actually, no, my plan was never even to go into education.
Oh, wow.
I actually was a psych major my first couple years in college.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought marriage, family counseling sounded like kind of a cool thing. I love talking to people. It's just like easy, kind of comes
Yeah.
natural, especially in the one-on-one, the small group settings. I enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Very convenient.
But I don't know, it's about 2 years in, about a year and a half actually, and I'm not a school guy. Right? No, it wasn't really my thing, which is kind of I wanted to get into psych, but I didn't want to do school. I found out about a year and a half into college that I'm not going to get a job with a bachelor's degree. I mean, that thing's going to go into a master's degree. It's gonna be a doctorate, and I had zero desire. And so I guess my lack of desire to go to school outweighed my desire to be a psych major.
I feel that so hard.
Right?
It's just like I'm just done with school. I think it's just it's the fact that it's high school, but I'm excited for college. You know what I mean?
It's different phases.
It's so like
I think.
Yeah, I get that. My thing in high school was sports. I was a football, basketball guy. And every morning, that was my drive. I got up and I was excited about those things. I was not excited about, the actual school piece. So I made a quick pivot and decided I wanted a job where I could make some money after 4 years of school because I didn't want to keep going.
Yeah.
And I because of sports, my love of sports, I decided I want to coach. And decided, okay, let's coach football. What's going to be my easiest or quickest path, to being able to do that? Education was introduced to me as a possibility, and the rest is kind of history.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I guess that doesn't necessarily answer your question about how I got into this particular job, but I was doing the coaching thing here. I was a couple years in Fontana and coaching down there, and then my position was actually cut by the state.
Oh, wow.
It was great. It was a phenomenal job. I was working with like little 3rd and 4th graders,
Aw.
doing like a PE kind of a program,
Oh.
kind of get fit kind of an idea. And I was serving as a person to give prep periods a break for their actual teachers. So it was great. You had all these little guys kind of hanging on your leg, and just like I was a god to those guys, and they loved it. And we did that for a couple of years. But then and I was coaching over at Fontana High School. Well, the elementary position was cut by the state, lack of funding, and so I found myself kind of looking for a job. And I followed a coach from Fontana up here. His name was Jeff Green. He took the head job back in like 2002. And so I followed him up here. I became the offensive coordinator, and I was teaching health up in Mr. Jack's room. I actually opened that
really?
room.
Dang.
Yeah. Have you guys had Mr. Jack's
I
yet?
have it right now.
Yeah.
I would walk in front of the classroom and be like,
Yeah.
"Hi," and just walk away.
Yeah, I was the very first one to open that room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
There's been some pretty awesome teachers over there.
Yeah.
That's
Wait, you
great.
said Coach Green?
Coach Jeff Green was
Coach
his
Jeff
name.
Green.
Yeah.
When did he leave the school?
03, 04.
Oh, I was
Oh.
gonna say because
Yeah.
when my brother went here, it was like 2010-ish. I was like, is that the same coach that he had? No, it wasn't the same coach.
Yeah,
but-
no, different guy.
Yeah.
What happened? And then all of a sudden, me and the wife decided, heck, we're gonna have a kid.
Oh.
I was kind of anti-kid for a while.
Oh.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to have kids. I was kind of selfish. I wanted to I wanted money. I wanted my free time. I want to do what I want to do.
Well, I mean, at that time you're like in your early 20s and you want to be out.
Yeah.
You
So
want to
young.
experience
Yeah.
life, which is
Yeah.
something I tell my friends. I'm like, don't rush it. Just relax for a little bit.
Yeah,
Just chill out.
and that was kind of my mindset.
Yeah.
And then I got the phone call from my mom. My mom made a statement to me back then, whenever that was, 04, 05, somewhere in there. And I told her, I don't know if we're gonna have kids. I'm not sure. And she told me that was the most selfish thing I could ever do. She's like, you can't ever really grow up and be a man. You can't be a woman. You can't grow up until you have a kid, because you will never truly understand what love is until you have your own child. And my mom, she kind of owns me, right? she can guilt me into whatever. But I took it to heart, and I thought about it for a while, and me and my wife kind of had a lot of serious conversations, and ultimately decided that we were going to try to have a kid, and it happened, and it was the greatest decision of my life, no question.
Wow.
Graduated last year.
Really?
He's at the University of Idaho now.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, actually, he's calling me right now on my phone.
Oh, hello.
I'm on my first ever podcast, kid. You're out.
That's great. So
Yeah.
you've been working here since 2002?
Since 2002.
We
that's
weren't
great.
born yet, Sam.
Yeah.
no.
Oh God, you guys are killing me. Jeez.
So at one point, did you become like your position?
So with the idea of having a child, I wanted my wife to be able to stay at home and raise our child if we were going to do that. So I needed to make a little bit more money. So I decided to go back to school and get a master's degree and become an administrator. So about 07 maybe,
That's where we roll
06,
around.
07, yeah.
That's around when we came around, yeah.
I took a job in student support. It was called the discipline office back then.
Oh.
And I spent about 6 years in the discipline office. And then this opportunity actually opened up with Oak Hill's opening.
Oh.
The athletic directing position opened up here, and I applied, and they gave it to me.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I forgot how old Hesperia School was, because Oak Hills was not open like since that time either, huh?
Right,
It was
right.
open 1940.
So do you guys know what anniversary this is this year?
Well,
This is the 40th. So we opened in 1984.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Dang, the 80s.
Yeah.
The 80s.
Yeah.
80s were great.
Oh my
Oh.
God,
Oh, the
you
80s were great.
you obviously were not here when this happened, but I said, "Oh yeah, Bostock, didn't you graduate in 1982?" He wanted to kill me right then and there because I said that he was born in 1962.
Right.
I didn't mean that as a joke. I actually meant that seriously because I genuinely thought that's how I thought that was when he was born. That wasn't me being offensive, trying to be offensive. He said, "I will smack you across with a ruler." I said, "Why?" He's like, "Think the math again." I'm like, "Oh,
So that'd make him like, what, 60 maybe?
60
Yeah.
around
it's
there.
not even around that." Yeah, it's like 2 decades later. I'm like, "Oh, you feel old now? Wait till like the comments we say to him, like, 'Hey, old man, you can't even see.'"
Hey, with the baseball cap, it's like upper 50s, right?
It's like,
he looks all right.
you're right there. Every time he takes off that hat.
When he takes off the hat, he goes down a couple years.
Oh, for sure.
I hid
Oh,
it from
for
him
sure.
the other day.
What's that?
I hid it from him the other day.
We stole it and then we
It was
took
great. Yeah.
it. He was
He's only
losing
got
his
like 3
mind.
hats, right?
Oh yeah.
I've
3
only
hats?
ever seen him wear that
2?
one.
That's it this year so far?
Well, I
So
mean,
far.
Maybe
so
it's one
far.
every year. I'm not sure.
He changes it just to be unique.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Mysterious.
That's a lot of hats.
Change
He's
it up.
been here for a while. So for right now, there are fall sports going on. I know homecoming games coming up. You've been through a lot of, obviously, homecoming games.
Yeah.
Are there any bigger expectations of this game or like your thoughts on this game?
You know, it's a great opportunity. I didn't graduate from Hesperia High School. I'm actually graduated in Montana, but when you have homecoming, it's that kind of that one opportunity every year where it brings the alumni back, and it brings different groups of our community back for kind of this common idea, and it's generally a celebration of our school and our history. This year being the 40th, obviously that's kind of a big deal. But no, I enjoy it. It's great. It's just an opportunity to see so many kids now. I've been here for a while.
Yeah.
That have either played for me or I've watched as athletes. So many of the different families that you get to meet as their kids kind of come through school and stuff. So I think more than most games throughout the course of the year, this is the one that really kind of brings the history back and just a lot of those different connections that you've had over the years that you don't get to see very often. So no, it's great. I look forward to it.
Are there any sports you're specifically like, not like that you pay more attention to, but that you're like you feel more passionate about?
Well, I was a football, basketball guy, and football is definitely probably my favorite sport if I was going to watch a sport. But it's amazing in this position. I've become such a huge fan of so many sports that I never would have had any contact with otherwise.
Yeah.
Soccer, for instance, in Montana, was almost non-existent, and it's such a big sport down here. And God,
Yeah.
we have so many amazing kids. What those kids are able to do with their feet. You think about like football and basketball, more of a hands kind of sport.
Yeah.
They're doing the exact same thing with their feet. It's incredible. Blows me away. I could never ever do that.
I still remember, I think was it our freshman year when the guys were playing in the snow?
Yeah.
and there was a blizzard. I'm like, yeah,
That was
How
I
amazing
can't do
was that?
I can't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, top 5 probably memory that I've ever had in this
Yeah.
position was that game, and then winning obviously.
And
in
then
PKs.
winning, like
Yeah.
I think that was the craziest one.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it was
that
like,
was great.
I remember like I was sitting at home, like me in my chair, drinking my hot cocoa. I'm like, oh, they won. It was snowing. Like it was
It was- yeah.
a blizzard. It was so bad.
So the refs almost called that game. They almost
yeah.
they almost canceled it,
Mm-hmm.
and I was talking to one of the refs. I'm like, come on, this is phenomenal. This is one of the greatest environments ever. People are loving it. Kids are loving it. What can we do? And he goes, well, we have to be able to at least see the lines to be able to call the game. So we rounded up a handful of shovels, and we had parents, and we had anybody that would grab a
Let's do
shovel
it.
clearing the lines. And we did. Made
And
it
it
happen,
worked,
and we
I
finished the
mean,
game. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's great to see because I've never talked with you one-on-one. I've
Yeah.
been doing sports all 4 years, but it's great to see like how passionate you are about sports because I think that's like super important, especially if you're gonna like help represent the sports and like take care of everything.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's
right.
crazy important because as a student, like you want to see your sports be taken care of like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah.
great to me.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this for like 20 years now, right?
Yeah, it's like 17, I think, for
17?
me. Yeah, yeah. It's been a while.
That's
Kinda-
pretty great.
Kind of the grandpa of athletics. No, what I appreciate is the competition, the adversity, the positions that it puts kids in that they wouldn't ordinarily be in without this opportunity, without what sports provides. And I've just seen it do so much good. There very rarely are experiences where kids after their senior year like, I'm so pissed. I never should have done that.
Yeah.
What a waste of my time. That I don't get those responses. Even if it wasn't a great experience in the moment, afterwards in reflection, they're always able to think of, the ways in which these sports or the coach or the interaction with players, the teamwork, something has really helped them, down the line. So, no, that's great.
It's also a good way to relieve stress. I remember my freshman year because I sadly wasn't able to, but I wanted to do baseball. They don't offer baseball for girls, so I had to go into softball. And I remember being able to hit the bat as hard as I could, and I would be able to hit it really far and really high. The coach was like, "Dang, how do you hit it so hard?" I'm like, I just do it. I just do it.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember
Just
like,
instinct.
and like one of the first games we had, I was the first kid to like slide to home base, and everyone was like, how'd you do it? Like, you weren't scared? I'm like, I didn't really think about it. Like,
Yeah.
that's my way of playing.
Yeah.
Of like any type of like game, any sport, any type of thing, I just go for it, and it's just like a way of like letting go.
Yeah.
So I think that's why kids really love sports, specifically at the school, because they just let us go ham. I feel like they just let us
Yeah.
do our thing.
That's
Yeah, there's a lot of kids that do the club scene growing up, but it's also always a shocker to me with how many first timers we get as freshmen, kids that have never played a sport in their life or trying a new sport, and we encourage that all the time. But I love that. I love that, and especially the success stories. The kids that just find something and they find their hook, right? They find their niche, and then they're married to it for the next 4 years.
definitely.
Those are the success stories.
Yeah, that's kind of how mine's going right
Yeah.
now.
Let's talk about your last couple of years.
Oh, yeah. I joined cross country my freshman year because I have always been committed to going to college. I've been told like, oh, you need to like commit to something, show that you can stay committed. So I was like, oh, I'll join an easy sport. So I joined cross country.
Yeah, yeah.
It was not easy. It was probably one of the most difficult things that I've had to do, just like to condition. I've never done sports before.
Sure.
So it was like very hard for me to get into.
Let's just spend the summer in the heat running
It was-
5, 6, 7, 8 miles every day.
Yeah, it was.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Who wouldn't want to do that?
Yeah. I remember my old coach, Coach Joe, he had told me give it 2 weeks, which he's smart for that because it takes 2 weeks to build a habit. I didn't pay attention to that. But I had started to interact with everyone and I was like, yeah, like this sport sucks, but I love like how close it is. Like it's like a family in there.
Yeah.
So that's just how it's been. Like all 4 years, it like just made sense to keep going. And I've improved like by a lot. That first year I stayed JV and I got injured, but then I went into track that same exact year. I got varsity. Like I started like I'm kind of good at this. So like I stayed with it and I'm getting like closer to the times that I want. And it's kind of crazy. Like watching how your body changes. Like I'm so in tune with everything. I can tell what mile I'm at with everything. It's creepy, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's creepy,
Yeah.
but it's fun.
Yeah.
So compare Coach Joe and Coach Chris for me.
Oh my gosh. They are like, Coach Chris is like the younger version of Coach Joe, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
They're so similar. It's funny. Coach Joe's a little more serious. I'll give him that.
Okay.
But I think give Coach Chris a couple more years in this job and he'll be the same
Oh,
exact way. But they're both so passionate about
And
this.
finding somebody that's passionate about running, that's
Yeah.
that's the challenge, right? That
Yeah.
in this position, you're always trying to find somebody who is the best, right? I mean, we want the best coach in every single sport in the entire area.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, whether it's recruiting them or stealing them from another school, whatever I need to do, right?
Yeah.
And finding Chris was just, I mean, talk about a godsend. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's so passionate about it.
He runs track, in field, with Coach Vaughn. And so he's one of the busiest guys on campus, but yes, passionate about that sport.
Crazy passionate.
Yeah, and passes it on to you guys.
Yeah, definitely. It's
What'd you think about Barstow, our opening? We'll meet out there.
I never like running bars.
It's so hard.
It's a really hard course. I barely found out like the fastest time is in the 20s. And
Yeah.
for girls, like the fastest, they're always like in the 15s, like somewhere around there. Like they're really fast times. And I found out it's like maybe like a 21 for that course, which is crazy to me. I'm not running too far off from it, but I was like, it's an insane course. There's hills that will knock you down completely. Like,
I don't know if you saw me at the top there of the hill.
I saw you.
Taking my
Yeah.
cup of coffee to the top of that hill was like,
Yeah.
this is unbelievable.
It-
And you
it
guys have
is.
to run this
And they
thing.
have to run it.
Yeah.
There's parents that gather up this hill that goes like straight up like that the entire time. It's great.
It's a great way to start the
It
season,
is.
right? It's a good kickoff.
It's mentally challenging, but I think that's important because it helps you to endure other things that are going to be just as challenging.
Yeah.
And like you just know like, oh, I can get it done.
Yeah.
It's just going to take a lot to get through it.
And then once you break that barrier, it's like after that, it's just like, oh well.
Yeah.
It's just like,
I think it's important for kids our age especially too cuz
yeah.
we're like young adults. We're going to enter into that stage where it's like everything's going to be harder from this point on. And I think sports it teaches that
chills.
pretty well. That like you can all these possibilities are like possible
Yeah.
to be taken on. I think that's important at least from my perspective as
Sure.
a student.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just how, like you said, the change in your body,
Yeah.
how much better you must feel, right?
Yeah.
And if that translates into a lifelong, whether it's running or whether it's just a realization of, hey, I need to continue to be active, continue to be, because it's good for the mind, body, and soul.
It is, definitely. So what advices would you have to someone considering sports or like just even barely looking into them a little bit
I'll
as
give
they
it a-
join high school?
Yeah, give it a shot. Give it a shot. What do you have to lose? I think, I guess, go back to my son, and he was on the golf team. My thing raising Luke was, I don't care what you do, you have to do something.
Yeah.
You got to pick it, and doing nothing's not an option. So early on, got into golf, but whatever the sport happens to be, high school's tough. High school is tough, and if you don't find people, if you don't find a nucleus, if you don't find a core group of people that you're like, that you have some commonalities with, and you have, something in that you can relate to, and you don't make a connection, it's brutal. So that's why I like sports. That's why I like, the activities, the drama, the band. Find something, because that's really going to determine your success or your lack of success.
Yeah.
So yeah, my thing I think for sports, my advice to kids, and we talk about it all the time, is getting involved. That's the reason. It's because we want you to enjoy this, and if you're doing it solo, it's tough. And we watch those kids kind of fall by the wayside all the time. The ones that make connections, they love these 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's kind of what happened to me, like, after softball. Because then sophomore year, I didn't really do anything except for, like, I guess, book club. And that was fine, but I was kind of alone in there. And I still go back sometimes, but now I have yearbook.
Yeah.
And yearbook is my sport now.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's a sport.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
But, like, in
for
the
sure.
sense of, like, I was able to, hi, Tristan. I was able to form, like, friendships that, like, I never thought I would make. Like, last year was, like, probably my favorite year because it was all seniors in third period. There was only, like, 3 of us that weren't. So when they all left, I was really sad because this whole room became empty. I was like, oh, man.
Right.
Like, my friends, they're gone. But then, like, now I'm the senior.
Yeah.
Looking at all these kids, I'm like, wow.
You become the example.
Like, that's me? Oh, that's a bad
Yeah.
idea. You don't want, no.
Yeah.
No, it makes school worth doing, right? I mean, you've got those classes and things you have to go to, but this is kind of your nucleus. This is kind of your job now, your purpose. No. She
I
says
mean,
no.
yeah, kind of, but like it's scary to think about it like that. Like people look up to you.
I mean, you're gonna create a document. It's gonna be around for forever.
True.
Yeah.
It's like that is preserving history.
So then, what are your like specific duties part of your job that you do?
So obviously overseeing all of the athletic programs. We've got 15 programs right now on campus that are CIF regulated, meaning we compete at the state level. I think we have 67 or 68 coaches on staff total, which is probably blows most people away.
Yeah.
You know, you think of 15 head coaches, but with all the assistant and all the support staff that we have a full-time equipment manager, Pat Brookshire, that's on campus, been with me since the beginning. Melissa Jacks is our athletic trainer, and she's been with us for a long time as well. And then my secretary, Angela. So we've kind of got a team, going on. But all things athletics, I take care of that: the transportation, the fields, the uniforms, the buying all the balls and nets, and stuff you need just to have the games. That's kind of the easy part, I guess, of the job. Other responsibilities, the other vice principal, I guess, responsibilities. We do some of the teacher evaluations. All the vice principals, we kind of split up all those duties, and so we have 10, 12, 13 of those every year. I supervision, going to dances, doing, extra duties, stuff like that. A lot of teacher walkthroughs. It really, the whole job is about relationships. It really is. It's just about, and that's what's beautiful about this school. Different from what I've heard, because I haven't been to a lot of places. I've been here for quite a while. Is just the kind of that central focus of it's all about kids. It's all about making this place the best we can possibly make it. And so you don't have a ton of individuals, on campus. You've got just a whole group, whether it's a vice principal athletics, or it's it's our nighttime, campus aide Kevin, or whoever it happens to be. We're all kind of got the same goal in mind, and that's to take care of this place, to keep it safe, to make it the best it can be, and to give as many opportunities as we can, to all of our kids. So, great spot to be.
That's great then. I have a specific question.
Yeah.
So, Powder Puff rolled around, which, by the way, I missed my signups, so whatever. But I did see that they're making it into a club. Do you think that is something? I know CIF just added it maybe last year.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that's going to become a sport, like flag football for girls at our school?
It's always a possibility. There's a lot of sports: boys volleyball, lacrosse, swimming. There's a lot of sports that are out there recognized by CIF that we don't have, and most schools don't have everything. You kind of have to pick and choose a little bit. Obviously, having swimming for us would be tough since we have a pool, right?
Yeah.
But based off of your facilities, what you can offer, what you can't offer. But really what it comes down to is interest. And so we always start at the club level. You get somebody, that's willing to kind of run and be in charge of that club. And then it's how many kids do you have that get involved? How serious are they about it? And then if we got to a spot where, hey, we got great numbers, we have kids that are dedicated, that really want to make this a thing, then it is now a conversation between us, Hesperia High School, and the rest of our Mojave River League teammates, right? So we've got to talk to Serrano and Oak and Sultana and Apple and Burroughs. And everybody has to be on board, to make it a league sport. But right now we're kind of at the beginning stages. I know Serrano has a little bit of interest out there as well. I'm starting to hear a little bit, with us here. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, you never know. A couple years down the road, if there's enough interest, I'd love to see it. I love flag football.
I love that. Yeah.
Flag football is such a great sport.
It is.
I would rather they got rid of like Pop Warner and tackle football with 7-year-olds and make it like all flag. That's so much more fun. Eliminates the risk a little bit, and you kind of get kids out there running around, throwing, passing. But yeah, possibly.
That's good to hear then.
Yeah.
There are some sports that I wish they had that I would have definitely tried out and would have forced myself to keep going, which would have been boxing, boxing,
Sure.
and archery. Those two would have been my go-to. Mainly because boxing, I feel like it would be more self-defense. Because wrestling is it's cool, but I feel like there's something different about it, just like being like this, and just being able to go at each other like that. It's just a little different.
So I can't really comment on boxing for a high school sport because I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
You just show up with a black guy to school.
Yeah. That's the thing I was thinking. Like I wish they had it, but it's it is considered dangerous. But
I believe we used to have martial arts here.
Martial arts.
Right. I've looked into our old yearbooks. We had martial arts.
Maybe as a off-campus club, maybe.
I have no
I'm
idea.
not sure.
They covered it at some point.
It probably.
I know
was pretty cool.
I know archery back. Gosh, maybe when I was either in health, or maybe my first couple of years in student support, we got some sort of a grant that gave us a ton of free archery stuff. We got the targets, we got the bows, the arrows, everything. It's actually in one of the containers out there.
I
I
would've
saw
loved
it.
You know
That's
who
why-
would, you
that's
know
why
who
I
would know?
remember.
Coach Topete or Coach Vaughn, probably.
yeah.
Both those guys probably know where that stuff's at.
They
I would have
do.
loved to have done that.
And it was a unit for us in PE for a while, a couple of years. Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's a reminder.
Dang. Well, Tristan's practically screaming at me behind the camera, so we have to wrap it up. But is there anything else like you would like to add to point out and shine a spotlight onto the sports or about your job or about anything about this?
That's a great place to be. You know, it's home. It's my home away from home for the last 20 years. There's a lot of big events coming up, you know, this year. I would just encourage everybody, you know, whether you participate in the sport or not, there's nothing like being in a gym, you know, with 1,000 people when everybody's kind of on top of each other, right? Screaming, yelling. There's nothing like being down in the stadium on a Thursday, Friday night, you know, supporting the team. And the cool thing about that is you got cheer, you got band, you know, we have an individual singing the national anthem. We've got, you know, football. So we're celebrating a lot of different components, a lot of different people. But just to experience those things, you know, even if you're not a fan of the sport, you know, getting out there with your friends and just enjoying the night, having some good food, yelling and screaming. And if nothing else, we can all agree that, you know, we love where we're at. We love this place. And, you know, so become a fan of it. And when we've seen so much more of that in terms of student participation over the years, our crowds are bigger and bigger every year, and we love it. So, yeah, I would just say enjoy it. You're here. Take advantage of the next couple of years, and it's gonna be great.
All right. Well, you heard the man. Head out to all the games and be involved, whether you're in the sport or just supporting. So yeah,
Make sure you go buy your yearbooks, guys.
Oh yeah, and buy your yearbooks because you'll see all of this on there. Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Hallett.
Thank you,
Bye,
ladies. That was
Hallett.
great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.